Welcome to the Goliath Sourcing Academy podcast, where we talk all things property deal sourcing, packaging, business systems, and outsourcing. Whether you're sourcing for yourself, packaging deals for others, or a bit of both, then you're listening to the right podcast. Get more strategies, tactics, and tips for sourcing killer property deals over at GoliathSourcingAcademy.com. Now, here are your hosts, Mark Dunsmore and Brad Lazarus.
Hello and welcome to the Goliath Sourcing Academy podcast. This is session 48, episode 48. My name's Brad Lazarus. I'm here with none other than Mark Dunsmore. How are you doing, Mark?
I am very good, Brad. Thank you very much. How the devil are you?
Yeah, no, I'm very good. Thank you. Very good. You're looking very wintry there. For everyone that's not watching this on video, Mark's in a very puffed up hooded top today.
Puffed up?
Been
at the gym.
Very street.
I've been doing my home gym workout.
Is that what you've been doing? Yeah.
That's it.
I noticed them in the corner of your office there. Yeah.
Yes.
eBay special.
Yes, it was an eBay special. Absolute bargain just before lockdown. Felt like I could have actually doubled my money if I'd put it straight back onto eBay. But no, I've decided that I'm definitely going to get into my home gym routine, seen as getting to an actual gym at the moment is a bit hit and miss as to we can go, then we can't go, then we can go, then we can't go. So I've brought the gym home.
That's good. No, I'm the same. I bought some battle ropes from my garden.
Oh, yes, the battle ropes.
Love battle ropes. Love them. So and obviously good old-fashioned running. Who remembers running outside? That is unbelievable.
Running, what is this thing you talk about?
Everyone's talking about buying this and buying that, and actually you can just put on some trainers and go running, unbelievably.
I know. It's like Peloton, isn't it? Peloton's the big... the big trend at
people
the moment.
Love Peloton. People that have Peloton, they really love it though. I think that's the impression I get. But it all sounds rather expensive. But mind you, if you set it against a gym, it probably isn't in actual fact.
No. And actually, if it keeps you accountable, what's the price you put on your health, Brad?
Wow, so wise. Right. Talking of wisdom. What have we got coming up in session episode 48 today? We've got a question from the Goliath Sourcing Academy public Facebook group, which comes from Mandy. What's the question?
So the question is, can I get a managing agent to manage my rent-to-rent deals? And if I can, should I?
Fantastic. Okay, that's from Mandy. We don't actually, self-confessed, full disclosure, as they say, we don't know Mandy's surname.
No, we
don't. For some reason.
We haven't taken Mandy's surname. We put these running orders together to answer the questions, but also we like to protect privacy.
We do.
This is a public show, so
we do. So, but look, Mark will tackle that question in a few moments. So, but if you want to get involved in conversations like that, ask a question which we can feature in the next episode of the podcast, then head off and join the free public Facebook group. If you just go to Facebook, just search for Goliath Sourcing Academy and you'll find the page, the Goliath Sourcing Academy page and the group. So just join the group. It's free to join. There's well over 8,000 people in there now. Property deal sources, people just starting out on their property investing journey. So it's a great place to get involved. Sourcing with Mark, what's up this week? This is about getting into property with Zilcho money, is it?
Zilcho money on a no money down deal where property owners are throwing their properties at you for nothing at all to generate thousands of cash flow per month.
Yeah, which they
can leave your job in an hour.
Yeah.
But no, we are talking about the inverted commas, no money down deals. But actually, I'm going to dispel the myth that surrounds no money down and what no money down actually means. And then we're going to be talking about 5 ways that you can fund your no money down deals, which is kind of an ironic statement, but it's exactly what we will be discussing.
You're going to need to use 4 sets of quotes there, aren't you? For no money down. Funding your no money down deals.
It's the funding money down.
And then you have to put the quotes outside the initial no money down quotes.
You have to double quote a quote.
Yeah.
A double quote, like a double bracket. You know, when you had the double brackets.
Exactly. Yeah. No one's ever seen that before.
Those.
It's just soaked in so much irony. That's what that means.
It is. This
Well,
is
that's
like
great.
Lesson.
I'm looking forward to hearing about that. I'm going to have some questions for you afterwards as well. We've also got a free resource, which is very personal to you this week, isn't it? The downloadable resource is your own.
My own.
Get this, listeners, Mark's own financial planning spreadsheet. You'll get to see his finances in full.
Yeah. You will.
You gave the wrong spreadsheet, the filled out one, rather than the template.
I have, and now you can see why we're putting out so much content right now, because we really do. You know, it's a tough time. It's tough times financially.
This is what is this then?
Yeah, so one of the big things we'll go through in Sourcing with Mark, we talk about funding deals, and actually one of the best ways to fund deals is to be disciplined with your own finances. And it's something that I've been doing for years. It's a big thing. I'm a big advocate of personal financial management. And actually, you know, it's amazing how much money you can save if you're disciplined with your outgoings. You know, sometimes it's a little bit of sacrifice goes a long, long way. And this week, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you my spreadsheet, my financial management Excel spreadsheet. It is blank, not with including my finances, we must add. Although it might be, maybe it is got our finances, it might increase downloads. We'll see.
Nice, yeah.
But yeah, so you can download that and fill that in, and hopefully that will give you the ability to work out, you know, where you can save money, where you can cut costs, and where you can start really putting that financial discipline that's not only important for your own personal finances, but actually in property investing, one of the best disciplines you can have is managing money. You know, it's quite often a thing that I see a mistake being made with a lot of people is not saving for things like maintenance costs, for unexpected costs, even with rent-to-rent deals, lease options, whatever it is. So this is going to help you do that as well.
Yeah. In short, you can't control what you don't measure.
It's deep today. We're going deep.
I know. This is good, isn't it? This is good stuff. Anyway, right. On that note, let's get on with the show.
Now it's time for the Goliath Facebook group Q&A session. Got any burning property sourcing related questions? Tap into the minds of hundreds of property pros just like you inside our free Facebook group. Head over to www.goliathfbgroup.com.
Right, so the question this week, the Facebook question is, can I get a managing agent to manage my rent-to-rent deals? And if I can, should I? Which is asked by Mandy. So the answer to the first part of that question is quite straightforward, Mandy, in the sense that it is simply yes, you can. Now, what's very important, however, is that if you are deciding to use a managing agent to look after your rent-to-rent deals, a very important thing to remember is that you need to ensure there is some clause, some statement within your management contract, the contract that you have with the landlord for that rent-to-rent deal, that allows you to use another managing agent, a third-party managing agent, outsourced managing agent services. That's very, very important, because that allows you to then obviously go and use another agent to manage your portfolio. If you don't have that, then there could be an argument if something happened to that property and you would be held responsible, not that managing agent, because the contract is between you and the landlord. So that's a very important thing. If you are going to use a managing agent, make sure that there is a clause within the contract that allows you to do so. Now, with regards to the second part of the question, which is, should you use a managing agent? The real answer is it's completely up to you. So it really depends on what you are doing this for. Some people have got a real sadistic nature in the sense that they love managing tenants, they love managing multi-lets, they love managing problems, they love dealing with maintenance calls at 3 a.m. And if you're into that, then absolutely manage your own stock, because that is exactly what you're going to get. The bigger the portfolio gets, the bigger the number of these problems increase. And of course, the more potential work work and time it involves you dealing with your portfolio. Now, that's not to say that managing your properties is going to be all bad. I'm being a little bit facetious, really, in the sense that you will get good tenants, you will get good properties, but you will have stuff to manage. You will have maintenance to deal with. You will have arrears to deal with. You're going to have various different check-ins, check-outs, finding tenants, referencing tenants. So if you do decide to do it yourself, just bear all of that in mind. Now, if you do decide to go with an agent, what's also very important to remember is that you get the right agent on board, because the wrong agent is potentially worse for you than a bad tenant. And that's very important to remember, because if you get a bad agent, the bad agent don't follow processes correctly, which means that trying to evict tenants becomes more difficult. They don't deal with maintenance. Issues become bigger issues. Tenants become upset. And ultimately, it affects your relationship with the landlord, because remember, ultimately, everything boils down to you and the landlord, because the contract that the landlord has is with you, not with this other managing agent. So it's very important to get the right managing agent on board. You are going to be having to pay them monthly. How much you are able to negotiate that monthly fee is completely down to your ability to negotiate with that letting agent. And, with our portfolio of rent-to-rent deals, when we had them, we actually used a letting agent, a lettings and management agent. We outsourced the management of them, and we agreed a fixed price per property per month. So we, per room per month based on it being let. So if we had 5 rooms, there was a fee paid per room. It was a fixed fee, and it was only paid if that room was let. So of course the agent is motivated and incentivized to let the rooms. We're not paying a management fee for a room that is empty at the time. So that's something to bear in mind. And you can negotiate that as low as you can get the agent to accept that. Obviously, if you're managing it yourself, you don't have that cost to consider, but weigh up what you want to achieve from your rent-to-rent portfolio. Is it to give you the time and the freedom to do the things that you want? Well, the chances are you're going to want to have a lettings and management agent on board. If it's to really get the experience of managing tenants, managing properties, going through that whole process, then certainly manage it yourself, and very quickly learn that the chances are you'll probably end up moving very quickly to getting a lettings and a management agent to manage it, because I don't think anyone, if we're all honest with each other, I don't think anyone gets into property to manage tenants. They get in for the cash flow, the freedom, the future legacy, certainly not to manage tenants.
I hear that. Excellent. Thank you. A great question, Mandy. Great answer. Again, if you want to get involved in more conversations around these types of topics, join us at the Goliath Sourcing Academy Facebook group, which is, if you just go onto Facebook and search for Goliath Sourcing Academy. Also, if you want to go deeper on any of this stuff, come and check out the Insider Circle, which is our membership program for people just getting started out in property, either wanting to find deals to find their first deal, build their own portfolio, package deals to sell on to other investors. We got amazing support, fantastic training in there. Feel free to go to goliathsourcingacademy.com/insiders circle. That's insider with an S, insiders circle. So that's goliathsourcingacademy.com/insider circle if you want more information on the Insider Circle. Right, next up, Sourcing with Mark.
Sourcing with Mark. Innovative and advanced strategies for doing better property deals.
So in this session, what I wanted to do was a little bit of dispelling of the myth of the no money down investment strategies in the property world. Now, a lot of you have probably already heard of the no money down strategies. Some of you may not. So what I want to do is just quickly run through what is currently portrayed as no money down investment strategies. Then what I'm going to do is dispel the myth, bring a bit of reality to that collection of investment strategies. And then I'm going to give you 2 or 3 different ways of funding deals through other people's money. And then we're going to be talking about actually funding it with your own money, even if you do not currently have any. So what we'll do first of all is start with the no money down strategies. Now, of course, no money down strategies are usually strategies such as rent to rent, where you rent a property off a property owner and you then rent it out again for more money and you keep the profit. You've also got strategies such as lease options, where you take the property off a property owner, you have a bit more of a formal agreement with them compared to a rent to rent, and you have the option to purchase that property at a price agreed at the start of the relationship at some point in the future, bearing in mind the option to purchase is very important there as well. There's also strategies such as assisted sales, whereby you take control of that property and you refurbish it, you add value to it, and then you would effectively sell that property again for a higher value. You would agree a property purchase price with the property owner, and then maybe look to split the profits that you make with that property owner in a way that is fair for all parties. Now, there are other deviations of that with regards to rent to service accommodation, rent to multi-let, single lets, all these things. But what the key to no money down strategies is that you are not going through the traditional purchase methods. You're not looking at buying the property, and by buying the property you've got to find funding in the way of lenders, mortgages. If you're going to find a mortgage, you need a deposit. If it's a second home, you're going to be looking at a minimum of 20%, 25% deposits usually. Then you've got stamp duty costs to pay, which of course as an investor with a second home, you've got an additional 3% on top of the standard stamp duty that you've got to find as well. Then you've got solicitors, you've got surveyors, and all the other relevant costs. And that's before you even start to think about refurbishing and adding value to that property on completion. So with the no money down strategies, what we do is we remove all of that upfront cost, upfront capital required, and you can take control of a property, someone else's property, and then you can generate cash flow, you can generate profits from that property without actually ever owning it. Now, of course, there are pros and cons of the no money down strategies. The fact is that you never actually own it until a transaction completes, so that just means that you're babysitting someone else's mortgage for a period of time, or you're dependent on that property owner at some point, making life as easy for you as possible to do that transaction, or of course maybe package that deal up for a fee to another investor. So that's rent to rent and lease options, assisted sales, no money down strategies. Now, really what I think they should be called in terms of what other property training companies are promoting these strategies as is really none of your own money strategies. But that doesn't sound quite as sexy. But what I am going to do is just run through a couple of ways of how you can fund deals using other people's money. And then what I'm going to do is actually give you a way to fund it with your own money, which obviously if you've got no money at the moment may seem completely far out there, but just bear with me a second. So the first way, using other people's money, would be to do a split in terms of the efforts versus the finance. So we call it obviously financial equity and sweat equity. Sweat equity is what you put in terms of the finding the deal, the managing the deal, finding tenants, all of that stuff. And you can then, of course, have an investor who simply brings the funds, they fund the deal, and you split the profits in whichever way you see fit. So that's a joint venture agreement. That is a partnership, that is whatever you want to call it. The fact is they bring the money, you bring the work, and you share the profits accordingly. Now, a little bit of a slight deviation to that would be, of course, you just simply get lending from a property investor. That would then be paid back to that investor with an interest over a certain period of time. And that may, where you are committing to a loan agreement, you are committing to a payment plan from the payments that you get from your whatever the creative deal is. Kind of adds a little bit of an element of risk to it because you're going to have that money every single month for the period of time that you need to take that loan. So generally, the ideal scenario would be where you have got a joint venture agreement, a partnership agreement, where actually if the property isn't making any money, then you're both not making any money. But of course, when it is making money, you're splitting that profits whilst paying back the property investor for the capital that they put in. Now, The second way about it is actually through a joint venture partnership agreement with the property owner. So instead of finding a property investor to come and fund the deal, you can actually get the property owner to come along and be part of that agreement, which means that they, of course, bring the property. They may well bring an element of a budget in terms of refurbishment, but the fact is, again, you're not really having to come up with any sort of capital yourself in order to get that deal going. What you're actually bringing, again, is the knowledge, the expertise, and of course the work to get that property making a profit on whatever creative strategy it is that you have decided to go down. The other way, of course, is just using the negotiation skills that you learn, that you have, the confidence that you have to be able to negotiate something with that property owner whereby you can control that property from the start, but actually pay whatever compensation it is, whatever monies that you're going to pay them, you pay them that in arrears. And you can actually negotiate a period of arrears. It might be 30 days, it might be 60 days. This really does depend on your confidence and your ability to negotiate and make it worthwhile for that property owner to be able to consider the fact that they will wait 30 or 60 days for their money. It's quite a common thing with commercial agreements, commercial leases, where you might agree a period of a rent-free period to get the property refurbished, to get the tenants in, to start getting it to generate an income, so that then you can start paying that property owner. But remember, if they're going to give you that level of flexibility, the chances are they're going to expect that to be compensated somewhere else, which of course might mean a slightly higher fixed amount per month to compensate for the amount that they've lost. Kind of like an interest-free period on a loan where they just bolt the interest on to your payments moving forwards. So those are a few different ways where you can leverage other people's money. Of course, there are other ways, but we want to keep this brief, we want to keep this simple, we want to keep this actionable in this session. Now, I mentioned before that we also have a way of being able to fund the deals yourself. So, of course, if you're going to fund the deals yourself, you're going to need money. And if you're in a position right now where you're listening to this and going, Mark, I haven't got any money, that's kind of why I'm listening to this podcast, because I need to find other ways of funding the deals. Well, you have got the ability to raise your own capital by managing your personal finances in a much more disciplined way. Now, the number of people that I've spoken to in the past with regards to property and getting them on the right track, where we have been able to identify within their own personal finances ways of saving money on a monthly basis to create a property pot, which that then goes to contribute to the property deals that they are looking for. Because remember, with the creative property strategies that we're talking about, the money that you are saving and the money that you're about to invest in a property deal, the deal will determine how much you need to put into those deals. So, of course, depending on what capital pot you've got, you can determine what kind of deals it is that you need to negotiate, and that puts you in a much stronger position when it comes to actioning deals. So what you need to do is just ensure that you have got real solid financial discipline. Personal financial management is incredibly key to any successful business, particularly within property. Because whilst you're going to have your own personal finances managed, of course, then you're going to have rental income, but your rental income is going to have outgoings, you're going to have costs, you're going to have maintenance to budget for, you're going to have to allow for things coming up in the future that may seem a long way off. But trust me, one of the most common mistakes I see with any property investors in all the years that I've been managing other people's units as well as looking after my own is the fact that landlords who are tight on finance do not have the capability of paying for maintenance costs that come unexpectedly because they haven't budgeted for those on a monthly basis. And it's really important that if you're doing it for your personal finances, then the likelihood is that you're going to be doing it for your business finances as well. So what I want you to do is really think about, if you're going to go down the route of funding these deals yourself, remember the deals are going to take time for you to find. And depending on what your level of financial management is right now, you're going to be able to save, if it's £10 a month, it's £10 a month. If it's £50 a month, it's £50 a month. If it's £100 a month, it's £100 a month. But as you can see, as the months go by, 1 year, 2 years, you're starting to build quite a healthy pot for the creative deals that you're going to find. Because of course, if you take a property on that maybe needs a bit of decorating, some carpets, whatever it is, well, actually what you can do is leverage the money that you're saving for the cost that you can't do yourself. You can do some of the works yourself, and then you can get that property generating cash flow. Then you can start budgeting from that cash flow. You can start siphoning off funds, and you can start accelerating that financial management in order to fund more deals, which means that you're going to accelerate that property journey. And then ultimately, if you want to start buying properties with a traditional purchase strategy, you're going to have the capital there to be able to do that as well. So I really want you to take away from this that no money down strategies don't really mean no money down. There's going to be someone's money that is going into all of those, apart from those unicorn no money down deals where you're able to find a property that needs no work. You're able to find a property where you can take the property on and not pay the landlord until you're generating income, and you can find tenants quickly and start paying them out of the rent that you generate. They do exist. They are perfectly out there, but they are few and far between. And if you spend your life looking for those, then you'll not get very far. What you need to be doing is approaching this with a very realistic point of view. Are you happy to take on someone else's capital, borrow money from someone else, get invested with by someone else on the basis that you're going to have the financial discipline to manage their pot of capital as well as your own? Or do you want to do it yourself, which, yes, admittedly, it's not the quick scheme. It's not the get rich quick. It's not the way to do things fast. It's going to take you time. It's going to take you discipline. It's going to take sacrifices of the things that maybe you don't need. Your Sky TV, Virgin, your gym membership, although keep fit. But anything like that that's going out on a monthly basis that you can sacrifice even for 12, 24, 36 months to build that capital pot up is going to make a big, big difference in order for you to fund your own deals, feel a lot more confident about your financial management, and then, of course, you're going to be in a great position to build that portfolio in a very disciplined, financially disciplined way, which is only going to stand you in great stead for your future in property investing.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mark. Now, really going deep onto some of the realities of no money down there. And you also discussed a few different ways there to fund no money down deals.
With money.
With what?
With money.
With money, yeah. Funding the ironic no money down deals with money. But look, I know a lot of listeners out there will be asking, so, okay, where do I find these people with money who want to work with me? In other words, have you got any tips for finding joint venture partners, JV partners?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is one of those things in property where a lot of people, and we get this with deal packaging as well. So deal packaging, where do I find investors? With your own investing in your own portfolio, growing your own rent to rent, lease option portfolio, assisted sale deals, whatever it might be. Where do I find the money? I haven't got the money. So quite often as well, just as a side note to that, is what it also means for people is that they do not do the strategies that they're most interested in because they feel they can't because they've got no money of their own. So it's important to remember that there are funds out there waiting to invest in deals. You've just got to go out and find them. Now, what's also very important is that finding that funding isn't necessarily always going to be an easy thing to do. And a lot of people get put off by stuff because it's not easy, but actually the very fact that it isn't easy means that it's worthwhile pursuing because a lot of people will be put off by this. So very, very important to remember that there is funding out there for deals. People are interested in lending, like we went through in Sourcing with Mark, lending money, joint venturing with their money. People are there with money ready to invest. Now, finding them is, back to your question, Brad, is actually quite straightforward. It's just a case of building trust with the people to make them feel confident enough in giving you that money in the first place. So where I would start is always with family. So you tend to find that family members quite often maybe have a pot of capital. The beauty of some no money down deals is that the pot of capital that you need is actually relatively low compared to traditional property investing, where you might need a deposit, you might need substantial refurbishment costs, you might need stamp duty. Well, all of these things aren't actually part of the no money down strategy usually. You just need the funds to set that deal up. So, for example, if we use rent to rent as an example, what you would need is potentially a refurbishment budget. So that refurbishment budget and maybe the first month's rent for that landlord, that might just be a few £1,000s. Finding a few £1,000s and building the trust with a family member, a friend, a colleague, is going to be a little bit more straightforward than it might be asking someone for £30,000, for example. So, shift that mindset of thinking that I can't find money, because actually because you haven't got that money doesn't necessarily mean someone else doesn't have that money available to invest in something like this. So making sure that everyone knows what you do and you are asking friends, family, colleagues, like I say. I've actually got funding for deals in the past from the golf course. So actually, speaking to people about what I do, you go around, you spend some time with that person. Now, that doesn't mean that I start on the first hole, they ask me what I do on the second hole, and by the 18th hole, they've written me a check and I've walked off with funds for my next deal. It means that the next time I see them, I'm talking to them again about deals. And then as the conversations start to move forwards, the trust is built, the relationship is built, and they're prepared to invest some capital into deals that I've got available. You offer them a return, you offer them a joint venture partnership. You've got to consider the person, who it is, what type of arrangement you're going to get into. But certainly that money is around for deals. If you're prepared to go out, you're prepared to be patient and look for the funding at the same time as you're looking for the deals, because trying to get funding for a deal that doesn't exist is more difficult than trying to get funding for a deal that does exist, that you can show the numbers, you can show the deal information, you can show the property information. So just make sure that you're doing them simultaneously, and that will stand you in good stead to finding finance for deals in the future.
Thank you. Great answer, as always. So we've got a free financial. This is a personal financial planning spreadsheet template, really, isn't it?
So it's all about putting in your current expenditure. So you make a note of your income, you make a note of your current expenditure, you itemize it all by insurances, by loans, credit cards, all the different things that you're paying out at the moment. What you'll very quickly discover is that there are payments, there are things that you subscribe to that maybe you didn't even know you still had that subscription going, or you maybe have it but you don't use it. You can look at things, for example, a very obvious one, even though it's only £8 a month, is Amazon Prime. A lot of people have Amazon Prime membership and they maybe buy 2 or 3 items a year. And the only thing that they get off the back of their Prime membership is next day delivery, but they buy 2 or 3 items a year. Well, actually, you could have paid for next day delivery on the postage and made less than what you've saved. So it's little things like that start to add up. You start adding up an £8 here, £10 there, a £40 there. You reduce your TV subscription by the channels you don't watch, or all these things really do start to add up. And even if you're saving, £300 a year, £500 a year, some people might even get up to £1,000 a year. Well, suddenly you've got skin in the game to be able to contribute to a deal with someone who brings in the rest of the funding as well, because £300 could actually go quite a long way to a no money down, inverted commas, deal. So this is to help you, first of all, get a snapshot of what your current financial situation is, look at it and analyze it to see where you could improve. And then, of course, you can start putting money into a savings account ready for your own deals to come through.
Great. Okay. So you can get that at goliathsourcingacademy.com/session 48. That's /session 48. That's totally free to download if you go to that URL. Just to finish off, if you're enjoying this podcast, if you're getting value from it, please do a couple of things for us. We'd be ever so grateful. First would be to go and leave us a review on our Facebook page. You can get there directly if you go to reviewgoliath.com. Alternatively, just go to our Facebook page on on Facebook, searching for Goliath Sourcing Academy. Head over to the reviews section and just, leave your thoughts. We're very proud of our reviews. We've got a lot of reviews there, a lot of reviews on iTunes for this podcast, all very, very positive. So I hope you can leave us that as well. Alternatively, or if you know anybody else that might really gain from hearing this information, get value from the information that we talked about on this podcast or any of our other podcasts, maybe somebody that's looking for no money down deals at the moment, for example, please feel free to share this podcast episode with them. Let them know about the Goliath Sourcing Academy podcast. I think they'd be grateful to you, and you'd be doing a great thing for them and for us as well, we'd be grateful. So, anything else we got to talk about? If you're interested in getting deeper into finding your own deals to build your own portfolio or packaging deals up to sell to other investors, and you want to join a community, support community, get training on all of that, please feel free to go over to goliathsourcingacademy.com/insiders circle, where you can find out more about, believe it or not, the Insider Circle. And on that note, it's been quite a long episode for us actually this week. So on that note, I'm going to say goodbye and I'll leave the last word with Mark.
Thank you, Brad. And thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, hopefully you found that useful. Like Brad said, we have got our Facebook group for getting topics and key interest areas for answering questions, creating content around Sourcing with Mark. So if you do want to drop into the Facebook group, there is a Facebook Live that I've done asking for questions, topics. So be sure to drop your thoughts in there, and we will certainly address those on future episodes. So that's it from us. Thank you for listening. As always, take care and happy sourcing.